I'm Brian Bankson from the Cinco Ranch Branch Library, and welcome to episode 8 of What Makes This Photograph Great, where we analyze point by point, element by element, pixel by pixel, what makes a photograph worth looking at. Each episode I choose a master photographer and focus on a particular photograph from their repertoire that I really dig. Today we're going to look at American portrait photographer Philip Houseman. For this October episode, I tried to find a photograph with some Halloween vibes, and I think Houseman's portrait of Salvador Dali really does it. And this self-portrait of Houseman is pretty creepy too. So, Philip was born in Riga, which is now known as Latvia, in 1906 to a Jewish couple. His father was a dentist and his mother was a grammar school principal. Philip would study electrical engineering at university in Germany. In September 1928, 22-year-old Houseman was accused of his father's murder while they were on a hiking trip in Austria, an area rife with anti-Semitism. After a trial based on circumstantial evidence, he was sentenced to 4 years of prison. His family, friends, and barristers worked for his release, getting support from important European intellectuals, including Sigmund Freud and Albert Einstein, who all endorsed his innocence. Houseman spent 2 years in prison, contracted tuberculosis there, and his letters from prison were published as a book in 1930. He was pardoned by the president of Austria, Wilhelm Miklas, and released in October of 1930. Houseman consequently left Austria for France. He began contributing to fashion magazines, such as Vogue, and soon gained a reputation as one of the best portrait photographers in France, renowned for images that were sharp rather than soft focus, as was used, and closely cropped. When France was invaded by Germany, Houseman fled to Marseille. He eventually managed to obtain a U.S. visa, aided by family friend Albert Einstein, whom he later photographed in 1947. Houseman had his first success in America when the cosmetics firm Elizabeth Arden used his image of model Constance Ford against the American flag in an advertising campaign for Victory Red lipstick. A year later, in 1942, he found work with Life magazine, photographing hat designs. A portrait of a model in a Lillet Daché hat was the first of his 101 covers for Life magazine. In 1941, Houseman met the surrealist artist Salvador Dali. They began to collaborate in the late 1940s. The 1948 work Dali Atomicus explores the idea of suspension, depicting 3 cats flying, a bucket of thrown water, and Dali in midair. Houseman reported that it took 28 attempts before a satisfactory result was achieved. Houseman and Dali eventually released a compendium of their collaborations in the 1954 book Dali's Mustache, which features 36 different views of the artist's distinctive mustache. Soon, Houseman became known for his jump portraits. Houseman commented, "When you ask a person to jump, his attention is mostly directed towards the act of jumping, and the mask falls so that the real person appears." The photographer developed a philosophy of jump photography, which he called jumpology. He published his jump book in 1959, which contained a tongue-in-cheek discussion of jumpology and 178 photographs of celebrity jumpers, including Grace Kelly, Marilyn Monroe, and Richard Nixon. So now, let's take a look at the photograph I have chosen to critique. Now, isn't this just so whimsical? The title of this photo is Dali Atomicus and was taken in 1948. It is a jump portrait of surrealist painter Salvador Dali. Now, there are a ton of things going on in this photograph, and that's one of the things that make it so great, the controlled chaos. Now, of course, as I said before, it took 28 tries to get it right. But the subject, Mr. Dali, is composed in the top left third of the picture, perfectly framed between the chair and the water that is thrown from the right side. The water seems to become an extension of his legs. And the cats. The cats really make the image. One is being doused by water, and the other two are fighting with each other in midair. The photograph is one of the best in showing a sense of motion, and the motion is dreamlike, a very precarious motion. But the reason I personally think this photograph is great is because I think Philip Haussmann is more of a surrealist than Salvador Dali. Now you may be thinking that Dali is one of the most famous surrealist painters in the world, but I claim he is not a real surrealist. This is because surrealism is a process for making art, not an aesthetic. To explain, it's important to know that surrealism got its start when the theories of Sigmund Freud became popular. Freud's big idea was that we have a subconscious that influences our behavior without our knowledge. This is a revolutionary idea at the time, and artists searched for ways to access the subconscious and make art while doing so. They used all manner of techniques such as trances, dream work, automatic drawing, or occupying the conscious mind with some mundane task while letting the subconscious take over the art making. The process was the important part. A surrealist should have no expectations of what the art should look like. But Salvador Dali made paintings that looked surreal. In other words, he started with a preconceived idea of what surreal looks like and painted that without any thought to a surrealist process. Haussmann, while he didn't consider himself a surrealist, had a similar process with his jump portraits. He thought the real inner person could only come out when a mind is occupied by some task like jumping. You can see how this is similar to the surrealist process, and that is what I think makes this photograph great. Join us next time for episode 9, where we will discuss the photographs of Vivienne Mayer, a nanny whose amazing street photography wasn't discovered until after she died and the contents of her storage unit was auctioned off. Until then, keep shooting.